Hello and welcome to 2024 Ascension Energies Mastery. I believe we're on episode 5. I think that's right. And hello, welcome to the portal, the Eclipse Portal being open now. This lunar eclipse happening March 25th and the solar eclipse happening on April 8th. And I started feeling this portal open up when we had the it was the full moon in Virgo. Yes, it was the full moon in Virgo. What was that? The beginning of March? I think it was right at the beginning of March. Okay. So we've got some ground to cover today about spirit itself, about how to navigate these energies and to have them working for you in the best way possible. Okay, so we're going to lay some groundwork here, and we're going to talk about, well, first of all, why we look at it from this angle of planets. Even I'll use tarot for imagery, and those who are interested in tarot can help give you another perspective on meanings behind cards, which, I always appreciate other readers' perspectives on cards. So we're going to talk about those things, and we're going to talk about what this portal means for you, and what we're being asked to do. Okay, so let's lay some groundwork here, and I do need to refer to my notes, okay, because I've got lots of stuff that I wrote out. Okay, so with spirit. So, okay, we do not ascend in a straight line. We know that time doesn't actually happen linearly, but we're not even going to talk about that right now. We don't grow in a straight line. We don't ascend in a straight line. It is not straight up. It is in a spiral, which is interesting because everything in the universe is spinning at the subatomic level. It has polarities, positive and negative, which creates a spin. So it creates a magnetic attraction. All right. This is the basis of the law of attraction. Everything is attracted like things attract like things. Okay. So coming back here, let's see now. Okay. So everything is we're growing and we're ascending in a spiral. Okay. So if you think about the zodiac sign happens in a spiral, it happens, in a circle, right? It's constantly going. Sorry, it's constantly moving in a spiral fashion. Okay, we also have the planets who are orbiting. Okay, and these create very specific energy streams. Okay, they're unique energy signatures. All right, and sorry, I just want to make sure. Okay, settlement. Okay, so within these energetic signatures is these messages that are being relayed to you. Okay, so you have an energetic signature, I have an energetic signature, the planets have an energetic signature. When energies merge, we then get information, a new energy emerges, and information, okay, is available to us. All right, so this information is one of the way we are meant to live in harmony with the ever-flowing energies, and your higher self is aware of current energies. Okay, so your higher self is helping you navigate with what is available. Now, when I say what is available, what do I mean by that? What I mean is that we have these energies that allow us during this space and time the ability to understand something in a greater capacity, and this is how we continue to ascend. Okay, so we have these energies that are available at all times, and you don't have to be an astrology buff or an astrology enthusiast to even be able to navigate this. Again, I said your higher self has the wherewithal, has the ability to navigate within a natural flow, but we've been out of harmony with our own natural flow, and that's what we're being brought back to in a very rapid succession of events and positions with the planets and energies being brought back to a natural flow with the planet that we're on, with the planets around us, within our solar system, within our own bodies. It's all about coming back to this natural flow of life. All right. So, okay. So let's see. So I wanted to say, like, okay, so how many of us, this, if you are, interested in astrology, how many times are you going, okay, this planet is in my sign. Oh my gosh, that's going to be, that's going to be really challenging for the next 2 years or 7 years or 20 years, depending on the planet, right? And how long it takes to orbit the sun. Or we tell ourselves, okay, I'm just going to get through this next conjunction, this next opposition, and I'm getting through it. And wow, that was a doozy. But, and I come out the other side only to be pummeled then with a square, in another sign, something squaring off right around the corner, right? But if you're not into astrology, then you can look at this in another way, is that you're just trying to get through something only to be knocked over again and not really getting ahead of life. You're not really actually being able to make advancements in your physical life, because it's one thing after another that keeps bringing you back, bringing you back, bringing you back. All right. So let's see. This is but here's the thing. So those things that are bringing you back, and we can look at them like they are like tidal waves in the sea that just keep knocking you over. But a tidal wave, very much like the events of your life, the tidal waves don't come out of nowhere. And if you're paying attention and you're in a natural flow and you're listening to yourself, then you're able to foresee and navigate and even begin to orchestrate those waves. Okay. So life is always happening, but it's happening for you. That's what we really need to understand here. Okay. So rather than being tossed to and fro in life, and blaming the circumstances, blaming the events that are outside of us, or even blaming the planetary alignments. We're using these to like justify and have excuses and reasons why we're not able to manifest the life that we want. Or we're just trying to get through this. Well, I'm here to tell you that you're not getting through anything. When you have an emotional response, that's telling you that you're creating, and you're creating more of that. Okay, an emotional reaction. And okay, I can go down a whole rabbit hole. I'm gonna try to stick to my notes here, okay, guys? All right. Okay, so okay, so how do we go about this? How do we go about, I think that I have it there. How do I go about this to be able to not react to life as it comes, not have well, it's no, stop reacting. There we go. Stop reacting to life as it's happening. Stop having opinions about things that are outside of yourself. Stop trying to control your circumstances and control your the situations in your life. Now, I did tell you that you're going to be able to have the ability to navigate and even orchestrate those waves that you experience in your life, right? And you do have that ability, but we've been trying to control circumstances from out here, but because we often think that we, from our human perspective, know what's best for ourselves, know what's best for everybody else, for the world around us. We think that we have an idea. Well, guess what? Source doesn't look at anything like it's good or bad. And consciousness, as we're ascending in our consciousness is all about perspective. So what we're always wanting to do, to be able to have that ability to navigate and be the orchestrator or conscious creator of our life, is to be able to step back far enough to be able to have the perspective of source available to us. Okay. So and our consciousness is all about the way that we're perceiving life, the way that we're perceiving life. And the way that you perceive it, your life continues to respond and show up that way. So as your consciousness rises, as you begin to get closer and closer to the perspective that source has about any situation, any circumstance in the world, in your life, about you, the closer that you can get to that, the more ability you have to create, because you're working in harmony with your higher self, which is working in harmony with the planets and the natural flow of energy. Okay. So we have emotions that tell us how close or far away we are. That's how we are discerning energy. We have emotions for one reason and one reason only, and that is to let us know if we are close to source or we are far away. And this is how source doesn't see anything good or bad. Source only perceives things as it's either something is either close to source itself or it is far, far away. And the farther away, the worse you feel, or how terrible the circumstances or things that you do, right? That's how terrible things happen. But source isn't looking at them like they're wrong. Source is looking at them as if they are experiences that are separation from source, knowing that everything is going to come back to source. But it is not your human job to decide how things come back to source, when things come back to source, what it looks like to get back to source. Everything is acceptable according to source, because it knows that at the end, by the time this is all finished, everybody will have had the opportunity to perceive life from all of these different angles, all of these different positions, all of these different circumstances, to become totally complete and whole through all of that combined, right? But you don't have to wait until you're finished with every timeline, every perspective, every situation, you don't have to wait in order to feel whole. You just have to know that your higher self constantly feels whole as it's connected to source. It's connected all the time. You can feel the resonance with that wholeness of who you are, and then be able to continue to have those, so that the wholeness of who you are just grows. Okay. So when you're separated from source, or well, as we feel in this 3D experience, that we're navigating this and it's tumultuous, it's difficult, it's challenging, it's hard. Our higher self is always looking at things from expanding from those experiences with something positive, what is preferred. Okay. So it doesn't matter how far up you go, there's always going to be more of a preference. This is the way the universe expands. Okay. This is what the 3D experience is about, having this sort of like separation. Okay. In order to be able to have experiences, in order to birth something positive, that is the only way that things move forward, is from a positive energy. All right. So we have our emotions that are telling us, are we close to it? Are we far enough? Are we farther away? And the worse we feel, the farther away we are from the source within us, our God self's perspective. Okay. So you're not always going to be in your God self perspective, but you can be there most of the time. And this is what is important. We have to just come to an understanding that it is vitally important for us to be the creators that we came here to be, that we feel good. Life is meant to feel good. It's not meant to feel so difficult. The reason it feels so difficult is because we get lost in the negativity. We believe that that is the only reality that there is, and that's how we get lost. But we are failing to recognize when we're lost in something that feels painful to us. And I mean as painful as annoyance to complete despair and everything in between. Okay. So the moment that we feel discomfort is an indicator that we have separated ourselves from source, and we now need to navigate our way back to source. But when you're lost in it, when you believe that that is what reality is for you, say it's difficulty paying bills, say it's challenge in your relationships, say it's physical health. These are the really big ones. This is the big ones for everybody, right? These things that are important to us, every single one of us, these wounds that we carry within ourselves, we get lost in those because we don't take the time to be able to soothe ourselves back to feeling as good as spirit does and withdraw our attention from what has been negative. So once you recognize that everything is perspective and there are infinite perspectives on every single subject of your life, literally just knowing that can give you the ability to have some movement, okay, without being so confined and constricted, feeling stuck. Simply knowing that there are infinite perspectives available and the source within you has an opinion about your life. Your life. Your life. It's not spending its time worrying about everybody else's life. And so often we do that. We're looking out in the world and we're spending our time with having judgment and having condemnation and choosing that we want to feel like we know the answer and somebody else is wrong and they have to be wrong in order for us to be right, without taking into consideration that our higher self is literally just focused on us and what we desire. And so we have to bring our attention inward. We have to bring our attention into ourselves. These current energies right now are literally, potently, practically begging us to be kind to ourselves. Be kind to ourselves and listen to our inner voice. That's what the current energies are saying. So remember, I said it started back with that full moon. It was a full moon in Virgo. That full moon in Virgo was about where you have sort of had cognitive dissonance, where you have denied your denied your ability because your higher self never sees you as not able. Okay. So you have denied your ability of where to fine tune the details of your life. So full moon is all about amplification of where you're at. And Virgo energy is all about the details. Okay. Um, minuscule, like the small, tiny little details. So what was amplified for us is taking a look at where we had not been taking a look at what's important to us and the details of it. Okay. Followed then by this new moon in Pisces, which is all about being kind, being soft, being gentle, knowing that you have the greatest power of anyone to be able to manifest your life. In fact, you're the only one that has the power to manifest your life. Okay, that's what this new moon. So it was about planting those seeds. New moons are always about planting seeds, but this was very auspicious. It was highly attuned to your spirit, what spirit has in store for you. Okay, so remember when I said there at the beginning that everything is magnetic, everything is spinning, including the molecular structure of your higher self. Even though it's in spirit, even though it is it's not physical, right? It still has a structure to it. It still exists. And so it has very strong manifesting, attracting ability for you, because that's all it's focused on is you. All right. Now it's connected to infinite intelligence. It's connected to source. It is your gateway to source. It is connected to everybody else's higher self. That's what gives us this higher self collective that I love to tap into. And that is what helps to align you with people, places, events, that divine timing. Okay. Because your higher self is connected to everything, the whole of all that is, which is why you feel whole when you connect with it. So it's connected to all of those, all of this. It's your access point to infinite intelligence. And so it has a strong attracting ability on your behalf. And when we are in this Pisces energy of spirit, It is the awareness of spirit. It is soft. It is gentle. That is a very, very powerful time to be able to plant and decide what it is that you want yourself, having already paid attention to, or having attention being drawn to the things that you need to pay attention to. Okay. So coming out of that, then now what we're walking into is this Libra lunar eclipse. Okay. So the reason why right now we are being beckoned, we are being called to listen to that inner voice and be kind to ourselves, is because that inner voice of spirit is always kind to you. It's always kind. It's always gentle. It's always soothing. It is never harsh. It is never expectant, like expecting you to. It's never disappointed in you. It's never, ever. And that's why it feels bad when you are disappointed in you. And those are the things that we really, really, really have to be paying attention to right now. Okay, is that the dialogue, the conversation with the inner workings of ourselves. Now, everything that we are experiencing in our life is a reflection of that inner dialogue. We have had this perception because we have been so separated, right? We have had this perception that what I tell myself, if I am hard on myself, if I am holding myself to a strict standard, if I am unforgiving and unrelenting to myself, those things that we have thought were some sort of like badge of honor, and we joke about, we make jokes about how mean or harsh we are with ourselves and how we're different to ourselves than we are to other people. But the truth is that that's what matters the most, because that's what your life is reflecting back to you, is that inner dialogue. So if a spirit is awareness and your higher self is awareness, and your conversation with yourself is either, so if we're applying these rules, right, of like our emotions are telling us where we are in relationship with that higher self. Our emotions are telling us how close we are to the source within us, how far away we are from the source within us. That conversation that we have with ourself internally in our mind, in our own bodies, matters significantly. And it is our most sacred possession, is the relationship that we have with that inner voice, that inner dialogue. It has to be the most sacred thing, because that's what is creating our reality. We can pretend to be disappointed because of this didn't work out, or that didn't work out, and we can say that it's because of this person or because of that person or this planet, whatever. So we can make up excuses. We can justify that there's something outside of us that is keeping us from being able to manifest what it is that we want. And reality is the real, really, really real, the only real reality is a conversation that you have with yourself that produces a feeling, that produces manifestations. Okay. Now, it is thoughts that produce manifestations, not feelings. So why did I say that? Because if you try to control your thoughts, you're going to go crazy. All right. It's easier to decide how you're going to feel inside of your body. And that begins again with the conversation with yourself. Because if you're being harsh to you, you're more likely to be harsh with other people outside of you. And you're more likely to be judgmental on yourself when circumstances bounce back to you the harshness that started in here in the first place, right? It is a vicious cycle. So when you have a kind conversation with yourself, law of attraction, the polarities of spinning energy are now reflecting back to, so the spinning energies inside of your body are now in a positive. They're spinning positive because you're choosing to have a positive conversation with yourself. Therefore, it attracts not only events and things that you want manifested. But first, it attracts thoughts that are in harmony with what you're feeling. And that's a good way to look at, like, how am I doing, is what kind of thoughts am I having? But don't try to manage those. Don't try to manage those. What you want to manage is, like, wait a minute, how am I, how kind and soft and gentle and soothing am I being to me? How forgiving am I being to myself? How, am I treating me like I would treat a child? We're all here growing, every one of us, and we're all have new circumstances that we get to have growth in as our life evolves. There are things that you're going to come across probably often that you don't know. And that is where life gets really exciting, when you have taken the time to be kind to yourself, to be gentle with yourself, and to feel really good no matter what. No matter what. I am not kidding you guys. It doesn't matter. Stop reacting to life. I said this already. Stop reacting to life. Stop having all these opinions about life. Stop having opinions about other people. Stop expecting things from other people. Just give it up. Give it up and choose only to feel pure elation, pure happiness, pure joy, pure ecstasy, pure happiness, no matter what. No matter what. If it doesn't feel good, do not give it any more of your attention. Your attention must be on what feels good, period. Because if something doesn't feel good, and already started off from a place that wasn't in harmony with source, so trying to fix it from out here is going to do you no good. You're going to be wasting a lot of energy and a lot of your life, right? So we want to stop reacting to that. We want to come back inside here and choose to pay attention to something, anything that feels really good right now. Okay, so I had started to go to that the solar eclipse, or excuse me, I apologize, the lunar eclipse that's happening March 25th. We'll get there now. All right, so this is in Libra. Okay, again, no, it's happening in Aries, because we've already moved to Aries right by the 25th. Okay, so but still, lunar eclipse in Libra. Libra is the ruling, is the native ruler of the 7th house of partnerships and relationships. So you see how these two are tying together, right? Relationship with yourself equals your relationship to life and your relationship to your partners, whatever those partners are. Partners could be your kids, it could be your pets, it could be your coworkers, it could be your relationship to money, relationship to food, your relationship to to your body, relationship to everything. Libra is looking for ways to, because it's ruled by Venus, and Venus is the planet of harmony and beauty and balance. And we go, okay, well, Venus is the ruling planet of all of these wonderful, amazing things. Then why in the tarot? That sounds kind of like, why in the heck? Why in the tarot is she the swords? Why does she look so cold? Why does she appear as justice? She is Lady Justice. Because what's happening is she is always looking at your heart, what your true desires are, and that relationship that you have with self, and looking for ways to balance that out and harmonize with spirit. Now, Venus on the 11th, so this just happened on the 11th of March, went into Pisces. And Venus does so well in Pisces, because if you think about Pisces as that energy that's prior, it's spirit, it's the energy prior to physical manifestation, okay? And it's loving and it's kind and it's pure positive, and it is essentially life force energy and the awareness of life, of source. And Venus being beauty and love and harmony. when those two come together, think of the implications of that. When those two come together, this is the connection that makes life worth living. All things beautiful, all things desired. Venus is Aphrodite's, the goddess of desire, the goddess of love, right? So if you think about that from that perspective, we are being asked to fall in love with ourselves, the relationship with ourselves, have this beautiful interaction in here. No longer pay attention to anything that's going on outside of us, but first and foremost, come back to harmony with your spirit. Okay? With that inner dialogue with yourself, come back to harmony. So the relationship with everything in your life is then uplifted. Do we have to go up in order to bring what is down up? Okay, so it kind of this helping hand. We can look at it like this helping hand, right? Is when we have this inner dialogue with ourselves that is coherent, that is harmonized with the dialogue that our higher self is having. We now have access to the perspective that our higher self now offers on any subject. And that's how things that had been difficult or challenging or we felt stuck in before, when we simply harmonize with higher self and vibe there for an extended period of time, just vibe there, just vibe there, just vibe there, just happiness, 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 and all of the exalting energies within happiness. And when I say happiness, I don't mean fake happiness. I don't mean put a mask on and be inauthentic, because if we know this Aquarius energy is all about authenticity. We can't get away with being inauthentic, which starts with that conversation with self. Okay. When you have positive conversation with yourself, what happens is your entire body begins to feel at peace. You begin to feel accepted by you. And in this way, you can feel your entire body fill. You can feel your entire body being filled with happiness, peace, joy, and love. But what we've been doing is we've been using an enormous amount of energy to hold down things that we had contempt with, things that we deemed as inappropriate, things that we had deemed wrong. So we had this really interesting sextile with Uranus, the planet of your dreams becoming your reality, heaven on earth, and surprising ways to go about that. What sextile Mercury, the planet of current information, the planet of, we're just going to say information. We're just going to say information. Okay. A planet of information and communication. So you may have had these things that have been under the surface that you had really been thinking for a long period of time, because one of those aspects of this lunar eclipse in Libra is looking back at where we've been, what we've been thinking, what we've been feeling, what our perspective has been in the past, and how that's brought us to now. You may be having a lot of thoughts that are about memories, a lot of memories coming up these days. Okay. Hearing people talk about like, oh, I just happened to be reading my journal from 10 years ago or 20 years ago, or I thought about this relationship that I had for all these years ago. And what do I think, my perspective on that now, and, all of these different past memories that are beginning to come up. Okay. So, but that is to say that these things that are current in your life now, the relationships that are current in your life now, where you have known but have not given yourself the strength or the courage to have knowledge that you are able to produce the life that you want, meaning you have muted yourself, you had quieted yourself on boundaries that you knew were inappropriate, letting people get away with treating you in ways that were not supportive of your highest good. Those boundaries, those conversations that you have been having internally about situations may have abruptly come out recently. Okay. this is what's going on. Like, you had not been listening to, or you had not been saying these things, but they'd been going on underneath here, and they were coming out. Okay. Why are they coming out? Not to destroy things, not to hurt other people, but it was a sextile. Okay. So those are very harmonious. Those are very loving energies, right? And so in a way that is supportive of your highest good. So maybe it didn't come out that way. And it might have. It might have been surprising to you that it did come out better than you expected. But it may have also created a surprising eruption that very quickly resolved itself. Okay. But again, this is showing us what's possible when we are honest with what we're thinking and what we're feeling. And we lovingly say those things out loud, or at least lovingly say those things internally. Because if you're saying those things lovingly internally, knowing that there's a positive side to everybody and everything. So when I say, okay, so maybe there's a situation where you had this problem with this person, right? And it's just been going on for quite some time, and you've been irritated and you've been frustrated. Maybe it's a friend, maybe it's an ex that's still in your life, maybe it's a current partner, all the different ways that this could be playing out. But say that you've been having a problem for an extended period of time where you haven't really been speaking up because you don't want to make them uncomfortable. Okay, where you don't want to disrupt the status quo. Maybe you have had an idea about a new project or a new way of going about something, but you quieted yourself for a long period of time because you didn't think that you had the right or would be heard when you bring up this fantastic idea. Now, your spirit with this Libra energy, okay, your spirit with that Virgo energy, your spirit with all of these energies for that matter, your spirit knows what you want and how to get you there. And these things that you must be said, vocalized, so that you have strength within yourself. Your spirit knows that this thing, this boundary, this conversation that hadn't been had, this thing that's been bothering you, knows that that's why you haven't manifested this. That's the reason. Now, this was life for a very long period of time, and we'd made ourselves comfortable there, being uncomfortable. We became really comfortable in the discomfort. But manifestation's happening much faster these days. And we are in an abundant year, an expansive year. We are in a year of strength. We are in a year of infinite potentials. And we are in a year of our dreams becoming a reality and starting to stop giving ourselves excuses and reasons. We're out of time. It's not going to work anymore. You cannot give yourself any more excuses or reasons why something hasn't manifested in your life, because spirit's getting in there with you to go deep. Okay, you got to be up here with spirit in order to see it as a positive, so that spirit can come down with you and be able to bring this up without you getting lost in this underworld, right? Getting lost in the 3D reality of negative emotions and negative beliefs that nothing's ever going to change, that you can't have whatever it is, that you're not worthy, that it's impossible for you. You've tried all these things. Have you tried being kind to yourself? Have you tried that? Have you tried let the world take care of itself and just be in love with life itself, like your higher self is, and feel the ecstasy of that? Have you tried that for a long period of time? Because I can guarantee you, based on physics alone, I can guarantee you that if you were to have pure, beautiful conversations with yourself, kind, soft, gentle, loving, appreciative conversations with yourself, and you were to feel as good as your higher self did, and you did that as often and continuously as possible, you will start to see movement in your life, because it is only that positive energy, only that positive energy. I will say it again, only that positive energy that can actually make a forward progression in your life. Your higher self is always expanding based on the circumstances and situations that you're living. And it is your job as a human, because you have complete autonomy over this body. You're the ruler of this body. You're the ruler of your life. Your higher self is not going to force anything. Okay, it's just offering, 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 constantly offering. Your higher self is never going to force you, because it knows that eventually you're going to give up, even if that means you died. At some point, you're going to give up, you're going to let go, and you're going to have the full expression of all those things. But again, we're here to love life. We're here to experience those things now. We are here in a tangible, physical reality so that we can have tangible physical experiences. You know, Madonna had it right back in the day. She really did. I'm a material girl living in a material world. Yes, you are. And how do you think that these things happen? How do you think that you have the chair that you're sitting in? How do you think that you have the device that you're looking at? What happened was spirit saw a possibility, a potential, and somebody was at the same level as spirit and received that information and had an experience enough to bring it into a physical reality, a creative physical reality. And you will not be completely satisfied or happy with your life until you're harmonizing with higher self, and you are receiving inspirations and ideas, and you are keeping up with those inspirations and ideas. And that means you have to have conversations occasionally with your spouse, your partner, your kids, your boss, your coworkers, all those places that you maybe felt really uncomfortable to have these conversations because you don't want anybody else. But if you're harmonized with higher self and you're having positive conversations with yourself, it will come out lovingly. Okay. So your relationship to self is your relationship to life. That's what this lunar eclipse is about. Okay. I want to just show here this tarot card that is the moon card. Okay. And this is a Pisces card, the moon, lunar eclipse. Okay. This card has a couple of different meanings. It can mean that you're not keeping up with your higher self, that you don't believe what the messages that your higher self is giving you. And it's literally creating this sense of lunacy inside of you. So if you're not getting those messages, if you're not vibrating with your higher self often enough, right? If you're not hearing and following those subtle messages, those kind, soft, do this, go here, think about that, go in this direction, right? If you're not keeping up, or create this, if you're not keeping up with those things, what happens is it starts coming out sideways. When you're not listening to that internal voice that is the kind one, it starts creating anxiety and stress and frustration that comes out in all of these different areas. So say that you have something that's been going on with your partner, business or relationship, like romantic. Say that you're having an issue with that, and you're not saying anything and not saying anything and not saying anything and not saying anything, even though you know that you probably need to say something, but you don't want to make them uncomfortable. You don't want to disrupt anything. You can start having anxiety about something completely unrelated. Manifest like stress at work, create stress at home, right? And when the things that you are doing have been from a place that didn't feel great, okay, it's not going to end great. So let's say you're really harsh with yourself and you demanded yourself to do something or to say something that didn't turn out like it. You didn't say it very well, right? Okay. When you act from a place that is different than loving and kind, the result is less than loving and kind. Okay. When you get this knowing that not to do something, and you mute that and you do it anyway, we all know it's not going to turn out well. I should have listened to me. We do that. I should have listened to me. Why didn't I listen to me? That is the voice that we're talking about. We're talking about the very quiet. It's literally just an awareness, but it is extremely intelligent. It's that moment before you left to go into that other room, and then you deny that. But it's happening in more and more and more areas, more often, more visibly, or more detectably within us. Okay. We're having the ability to be able to tap into that more and more and more. And we have not been authentic to ourselves enough, because what we have been aligning ourselves to, rather than feeling really good inside of ourselves, what we have been aligning ourselves to is something that we have been expected to do, something that we have been obligated to do, some sort of responsibility that we have agreed to, without taking into account how good it feels as we make that agreement, as we enter into. And Libra is also about agreements, contracts. You have a contract with everything going on in your life. And I don't mean like the spirit, you made this contract and okay, some of that, yeah. But here's the deal. You have complete autonomy over this life. So the contracts that you are agreeing to, working at this place, being in this relationship, taking care of these people, those contracts are being played out from the energy that you started in, if you haven't done anything to change that vibration. So maybe it was, I just needed this job because I just needed to pay bills. And now you're frustrated because now you just have this job that you don't really like just so you can pay bills. We haven't even been aware enough to know those things about ourselves, and that's how we're creating our reality. So then you get frustrated and you get irritated because life is hard, right? Or maybe you entered into this marriage because you were supposed to be married, but what you really wanted to do was something else with your life, secret way deep down, but it was so muted down there, so unreasonable compared to what's expected of you, or what life is supposed to look like according to somebody else, that you got into this relationship to satisfy that. Or maybe you were in a very wounded place when you got into a relationship and you thought, if I have somebody, at least I won't be alone. And you want them to fulfill the emptiness inside of you. Well, it turns out that that other person is wounded as well. And so that relationship isn't going to be healthy until both parties decide to be healthy. Maybe you had kids and your spouse wanted them and you weren't quite ready for them. And now you hold a little bit of resentment, that quiet little voice in there. And it's okay. It's okay to admit those things to ourselves. It's time to admit those things to ourselves. It's time to say, I'm okay for feeling this way, but I don't have to buy into that feeling anymore. What I can do is I can get happy, which sounds so ridiculous. But honestly, this is the truth. What I can do is I can withdraw my current attention. So those things that we've been pushing down and pushing away are beginning to come up more and more and more and more. We've been purging these things for a long time. Now we're down to like that literal, exactly to the point of our conversations inside of here, right? And when we can have those loving conversations about decisions that we had made from a wounded or uninformed place, when we can be present with that anxiety that we're feeling, and we can accept that, okay, and begin to move ourselves in a direction, an emotional direction. Now, masters of energy know that you can't be stuck or feeling for extended period of time this way and immediately bring yourself up to this. Masters know that you have to gently, step by step, just looking a different direction, doing something that feels good, choosing something to listen to that brings in laughter, having a conversation, an uplifting conversation with somebody that you enjoy, those kind of things. Not bringing your problems so they can make you feel better. No, 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 no. What I mean is, what I mean is doing one thing that feels a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better, continuing to have relief until you reach this point of exaltation for that moment. It never lasts forever, but it can last a heck of a lot longer, a heck of a lot longer than when we've really given ourselves credit for. Because why? We've bought into stress and fear and anxiety and frustration, and that's the way of life. Of course, this is happening, so I feel this way. And by the way, we've been told to feel that way about things. We have been programmed about how we feel about things. We've been told when this happens, feel like this. When this happens, react like that. Without ever stopping to think or being taught, does it feel good? Does that feel good? Condemning another person for anything, condemning yourself for anything will never, ever, ever, ever feel good, because your higher self is never in that state of awareness. It is never, ever, ever having that perspective or that opinion about anything. So you bring yourself to a point of feeling really good. You meditate often so that you know what you feel like. What I feel like, what does my energetic signatures feel like? And I find that out by relaxing, by stop thinking. You don't have to like go looking for what do I feel like? You already feel like you, but if you'd stop stimulating yourself with information and thoughts, you stop that and you quiet yourself long enough to have a really relaxing meditation, you can your vibration will naturally rise to this beautiful point, right? So again, it's doing those things that feel good, feel good, feel good. And you can't go from being angry to meditating. There are those baby steps in between. Masters of light, people who are consciously creating their reality, living the good life, living the high life, doing the things that they want to do in life, not living an obligated life. What they're doing is they're spending more time up here, knowing that the more time they spend with this energy of feeling really great, that they have now access. It's the doorway. It's an access point to having your higher self's opinion or perspective about things that hadn't felt good before, and it will uplift it. And you can't force this to happen. You can ask, you can pose the question, hey, can you give me some insight on that subject? And I'll leave it there. Because if you start thinking about that subject long enough, you'll go right back to where you were. You want to stay here and then bring that, maybe that, just lightly touch on that subject once you've been here long enough, and it will bring that subject up. Okay. But the longer you have practiced a negative emotion on a particular subject, the more time you need to spend moving that energy slowly and slowly and slowly. It's when we try to demand it happening faster and not accepting that this is in fact the process, because again, it goes back to that conversation with yourself. Well, I should be farther along. Well, I should have done better. Well, why don't I have that thing? I'm not good at manifesting. Obviously, nothing's changing for me, and getting mad at yourself for not being somewhere else is never going to bring you to the somewhere else. It's that conversation. Do you see? That conversation matters the most. It is your most sacred possession. Your relationship with you dictates your entire life. We are about to then, after this lunar eclipse in Aries. Oh, I wanted to say, okay, so when you mute that voice, you have these like sort of like freak out moments in other places of your life. Okay, this is why this is called the chaos card. Okay, it's often called, it's the moon card, but it's interpreted as chaos. Okay, but what it's also talking to is that it is an unmanifested reality. It is, remember I told you, Pisces is spirit. Pisces is spirit. It's the awareness, it's the intelligence, it's pure positive perspective. Okay, so that is what is gathering all of the components, all the pieces and parts, all of the energy in order to manifest a desired reality. Okay, that awareness of spirit. Okay, so your spirit now is trying to manifest a reality within you. And if you are in low vibration, it's going to create what can feel like lunatic moments, lunacy, lunar, right? That's why that card means that, right? that's what we're really talking about here. The full moon, lunatic energy. People are going crazy. Why? Because they're quieting their truth. They're muting themselves. They're not being honest and authentic with themselves, and then therefore inauthentic with other people. Okay, so and the circumstances of their life, they're not expanding with their higher self. So the like I was saying, the other part of this, the other part of this card is an unmanifested reality that's entirely possible for you. It just hasn't come into fruition. Okay, it's right before the manifestation pops. It's like right there. You can feel it. You can sense it. You know it's there. It's just not quite in your physical reality. And we'll get to this point very often in our lives, and then we'll completely, we will completely self-sabotage by getting frustrated and angry and in disbelief of the power that our spirit really has, the power of your higher self. And we start denying ourselves these things. Okay. But we're not doing that anymore. What we're doing now is we're looking, we can sense it, we can feel it. It's about to pop into physical reality. And everything inside of us is like, yes. And that feels great. And if I can continue just literally believing that I can feel great and have that, what this next thing, this Aries energy that we're about to move into is that spark of life, physical life. That's where life happens. That's why it's springtime. It springs forward. It breaks through. It allows it to manifest. And these are physical reality, tangible, touchable, feelable, actionable, taking action. So again, think about it. That inspired action has to come from a positive internal dialogue, because then you get the inspiration, the creative, ingenious moments, and you trust them because you trust your higher self to be able to have those actionable steps to take within a new experience. Now, these are experiences that we have been working towards for at least a year now. Okay. So it goes back to this eclipse portal of last year. Remember, I told you cycles within cycles. Okay. So you're now being able to physically enjoy the manifested reality of this dream that you had been working towards for a year now. And it's yours. And you can have it 100%. And how much of that you get has everything to do with your internal dialogue. Your internal dialogue. Your internal dialogue. The softer and gentler and kinder you are to yourself, the more you connect with your higher self. Okay. And the more you begin to notice the things in your life that have already manifested. This is that appreciation. Okay. Where, oh, spirit answered me here and I already got with that there. And wow, look at this thing, and I remember wanting that and now I have it. Okay. So when you have that kind of relationship with your life and with yourself, it's a lot easier to be able to let more in because now you know that you can trust higher self. You're building that relationship. Again, it's building, right? It's being able to trust somebody, your higher self, long enough to believe in them, to be able to put total faith in them, right? And then have a knowing. And then to have a knowing that my higher self has my back. In religious terms, we say this is building a testimony, right? You have to. You have to know for yourself. You can't rely on me or any other spiritual teacher or anybody else. You cannot rely on somebody else's words and expression of what's possible. You have to build that relationship yourself. And you do that by getting quiet, believing that you are a divine spirit, knowing how spirit works, which is what we just talked about over and over again, knowing how spirit works, the mechanics of it, and giving it a test, giving it a try, and looking at actually how many times it has, in fact, worked out for you. And then you can give up worry, you can give up doubt, you can give up frustration, you can give up all those things that don't feel good because you're going to go, all of a sudden, you're going to go, why would I get lost and believe that this perspective that doesn't feel good is the only perspective? When there's infinite possibilities and I get to open up all of those doors when I'm in harmony with spirit itself, when I'm in harmony with the ebb and the flow of energies and knowing that all of it's happening for me so that I can understand how to navigate current energies in preparation for next energies. Okay. So relationship to self, directed by pure spirit, get your vibration up as high as you can, raise that vibration, meaning don't fake your happiness. Actually get happy with the fullness of your body. Let peace, let happiness take over your body without resentment, without condemnation, without restriction, without trying to push something away. Literally let your entire body fill with light. Okay. Do not fake happiness. You can have complete and total happiness if you choose that for yourself. Get happy. See what's already manifested on your behalf. Trust that. Trust that you're going to get inspiration and then act on that inspiration. And watch the expansion continue to happen in your physical life faster and faster and faster, and how much fun you are having with life and how you're not going back there anymore because that didn't help. Stop defending why you don't feel good and just start feeling really good for as long as you possibly can and watch how well that works out for you. Okay. So like I said, portals open. It's very expansive right now. Dreams are yours. You can have them as long as you believe your higher self. Work on that relationship. Begins with the conversation with yourself. You got this, guys. All right. I hope that was helpful. And I love you all. And I look forward to hearing from you about how things are manifesting in your life. I encourage you to like, to subscribe, to share this video if you think that others will appreciate it. Please, support the channel. I am enjoying doing this. I'm brand new, obviously, but but I look forward to more of this with you. I do. So let's expand together. All right. I love you all. Take care.